What's good? It's a boy dude reviews, and let's take a look at Akira, a Japanese 1988 animated post-apocalyptic cyberpunk film directed and co-written by Katsuhiro Otama, and Aizo Hashimoto also wrote the screenplay alongside him as well, and it's based on the manga created by him and made in 1982 of the same name. The film had a budget of 5.5 million, making it the second most expensive anime film at the time, until it was later surpassed by Kiki's Delivery Service. And what's the film all about? Well, set in a dystopian 2019, Akira tells the story of Satoru Kaneda, a leader of a biker gang whose childhood friend Tetsuo Shimari acquires incredible telekinetic abilities after a motorcycle accident, eventually threatening an entire military complex amidst chaos and rebellion in the sprawling futuristic Neo-Tokyo. While most of the character designs and settings were adapted from the manga, the plot differs considerably and does not include much of the last half of the manga. The soundtrack, which draws heavily from traditional Indonesian gamelan as well as Japanese Noha music, it was composed by Shoji Yashimoto and performed by Genona Shamahashi Hirogumi. Sorry I butchered your name, but I tried. Akira then premiered in Japan on July 16, 1988 by Toho. It was released the following year in the US by pioneering animation distributor Streamline Pictures. It garnered an international cult following after various of theatrical and VHS releases, eventually earning over 80 million worldwide in home video sales. It is widely regarded by critics as one of the greatest animated and science fiction films ever made, as well as a landmark in Japanese animation. It is also a pivotal film in the cyberpunk genre, particularly the Japanese cyberpunk subgenre, as well as adult animation in general. And the film has a significant impact on popular culture worldwide, paving the way for the growth of anime and Japanese popular culture in the Western world, as well as influencing numerous works in animation, comics, films, music, television, and video games overall. Akira is regarded by many critics as a landmark anime film, one that influenced much of the art in the anime world that followed its release, with many illustrators in the manga industry citing the film as an important influence. Manga author Masahiro Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto, for example, recalls becoming fascinated with the way the poster was made and wished to imitate the series creator Katsuhiro Otomo's style, and the film had a significant impact on popular culture worldwide. The film led the way for the growth in popularity of anime outside Japan, as well as Japanese popular culture in the Western world. Akira is considered a forerunner of the second wave of anime fandom that began in the early 90s and has garnered a massive cult following since then. It is credited with setting the scene for many anime franchises such as Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and Naruto to become popular cultural phenomenon. According to The Guardian, the cult 1988 anime taught Western filmmakers new ideas in storytelling and helped cartoons grow up overall. And it has influenced numerous works in animation and film, television, music, and video games. And anime series such as Ghost in the Shell, Battle Angel Alita, Cowboy Bebop have been heavily influenced as well. And yeah, outside of Japan, Akira has also been cited as a major influence on Hollywood films like The Matrix and Kill Bill, Looper, The Dark Knight, Inception, and Godzilla, and television series such as Stranger Things and Batman Beyond have also been slightly influenced by the film overall. And John Gator cited that Akira is an artistic inspiration for the bullet time effect in the Matrix films. So yeah, this film has definitely garnered a lot of praise and a lot of jazz and all this stuff, and I think you guys want to hear my take on the film overall and what I felt about it and why this film is really great and grand. And obviously there's some good and bad and some mixed aspects of this film that I have, but let's just go straight into the good. And the good of this film is, you guessed it, the animation. The first thing you see is the animation. That first scene with Tokyo back in the 80s, back when the film was made in 1988, and then you have that huge explosion and then you have the Akira logo, then you're like, whoa, we're in for a ride. It's wow, wow. Like seeing Tokyo being destroyed, it just had this impact, and it just, ooh, it really, really shook me. And wow, the character animation in this film is none other like any anime film. I've seen a lot of anime, and I've seen a lot of movies based on animes and all that jazz, and just anime in general. And I've never seen anime look like this. This is, at times I think this is not anime. This is Disney. Like the way some of like the character movements, the character motion is, it looks so smooth, and there's so many frames, and it just has this fluidity that a lot of anime don't have. A lot of animes tend to have a slightly more stuttery look to it because they seem to animate less frames and on a lower frame rate. But this film, I feel like they went balls to the wall with this film, and they were like, let's make a film, let's go all out. We wanna do a heck of a lot with this film. Another part of the super fluid animation is the fact that the mouth movements seem to move to the time of like the Japanese dialogue. And I noticed this when I watched the English dubbing, because a lot of the lip flaps did not match with the words, but when you play the Japanese version, you really do see like the words and the syllables really matching it. And that's because Akira had a pre-scored dialogue wherein the dialogue is recorded before the film starts production, and the movements of the characters' lips and are animated to match it. A first for an anime production, and extremely unusual even today for an anime, although the voice actors did perform with the aid of animatics and super fluid motion, as realized in the film's more than 160,000 animated cells. My gosh, dude, that is crazy right there. That is super crazy. So yeah, when you do see some of the characters talk, a lot of the movements are so timed out and so statistically planned that you just have to sit back and really appreciate the craft of this film. It looks amazing. I love the motorcycles chase scenes. They look so fast and action packed. The action sequences are just insane. They're like modern action films. Like it's like watching a modern film in today. A film made in 1988. This film, I feel like in terms of the action scenes and like the choreography, it completely triumphs over any film that came, live action or animated. It's on a league of its own. This film is crazy, crazy how good and detailed this film looks. The backgrounds look so lush, and it has this really like intense present. It's beautiful but really intense and very graphic at the same time, which really correlates to the whole theme and vibe of this film overall. And let's talk about like characters, because I do like the characters. Obviously Kenda is Canada is the main character, and I watched the I don't know which version I watched, to be honest with you, but I think I watched the more recent version, and I think that one was done by Johnny Young Bosch, and that was, I think, the more remastered version. And yeah, that was a really that was a really good performance by all the voice cast in this film. Like everyone did such a phenomenal job. I love how like he looks out for his friends. He's like, you can kind of say he is one of the, I don't know, because this biker gang is interesting because it doesn't really have a leader. Everyone is kind of got their unique, everyone's very unique in this biker gang. They all have unique personalities, and but Canada, I guess, is the main focus. He's the dude on the poster with the red jacket, and yeah, you just love this dude. He's a really cool dude. Tetsuo, who is the unfortunate soul who gets tested with the Akira project thing. You kind of feel bad because this dude, he hasn't really felt acknowledged. You see his backstory, like, growing up in his parents leaving him and all that, and you kind of just feel you feel kind of bad for him, and he always feels like he needs to prove himself to other people. He feels like he has to be, he hates being saved, he hates being protected, and when he gets this power, he starts to become arrogant, he starts to lose his way, he starts to forget his old self, and he likes this new self, and it kind of becomes destructive. Like, it's kind of scary, like seeing like how this normal kid. It's just, I wouldn't say he was possessed by the power, maybe at first, but when he gets to understand the power and he starts to master it, he then starts to use it, but not for the right reasons, and you start to question his character overall, and he becomes a very grey character, even though you do feel sorry for him overall. All the characters in this film are really amazing and unique. I love the whole, like, the lore of Akira, the three little kids who look like aliens but sadly were tested on, and the experiments didn't always go accordingly, and you just, oh, just, there's so much goodness out of this film in terms of characters. They all feel different and unique and amazing. I also love Kay, the member of the resistance, and how she and like Kenda try and like work together to try and stop Tetsuo from just going psycho, and all this stuff is great. But as much as Tetsuo does go a bit psycho, yeah, it is all the government's fault. It's the doctor's fault. Dr. Onoshi, like the people who tested it on him, they didn't really know what they were playing with and messing with, and yeah, it really does kind of go a bit haywire overall, and we just get a lot of great like action sequences and like very end of the world like destruction stuff happening, and you gotta think that all of this was hand drawn, like all this movement, like all of this movement, apart from like that weird CGI scene with the doctor, that was, yeah, but a lot of like it was in 2D. Most, if not all of it, was all 2D animation, and it's like when you look at it, this wasn't even done on the computer. This was done on like ink and paper, and you just have to appreciate the craft and like the just the sheer work. I'm now going to be sound like a broken record, but man, the animation is just phenomenal. I don't think I've ever seen an anime come close to the level of detail and just amazing like visual look and animation, character animation, and I don't think any anime has actually come close. Maybe Princess Mononoke, maybe Spirited Away, but even then, like, this film is just leaps and bounds ahead of its time. This film was like decades ahead of its time in terms of story and animation. But with that said, let's talk about the more bad to negative side of this film, and I don't really have anything to really hate up this film. Like, it's more nitpicking, but I would say like the first 10 minutes, 10 or 20 minutes does feel a bit slow. A lot of things happen, and at first when you watch this film, you have to admit that you are kind of lost. Like, I have to admit, I was kind of confused. I didn't really get what was happening, and there wasn't too much like exposition with some of the characters, and they just kind of throw you into this world without really giving you a lot of information as to what's happening. But as the film progresses, you do understand who these characters are, the backstories start to be revealed, and what Akira is, and what is what these scientists guys are trying to do with it. Like, it all gets explained in like in the second or third act, and yeah, it does make it a little bit more satisfying. And because of that, the third and second act are like the best parts of the film. The first act is kind of like just kind of throw you in, not really knowing what's happening, and it can be a bit of a turn off. And for me, the first time I watched it back in 2014, it really was. I didn't really feel this film, and it wasn't vibing with it. And yeah, I will also say there are a lot of weird sequences. They're not bad, but there's a lot of sequences that you're just kind of looking at like, what? Like the teddy bear scene with Tetsuo in the hospital was just, it was fluid and really amazing to look at, but it was a bit like, why was this necessary? Why was this scene in the script? Like, I really didn't get any of that, to be honest with you. But apart from that, I can't really hate this film. Like, yeah, there are some slow moments. Yeah, there may not be enough explanation, but I kind of hate this film based on nitpicks that I have with it, because at the end of the day, the overall film is just amazing, and I really did appreciate watching this film, and it's really hard to hate it because it's just so beautiful to look at. The story is amazing and interesting, though It is a bit confusing, particularly towards the end, and I will admit those three little kids, I watched the film in dub. They weren't that great, but still, like, the characters were interesting and unique and very different. Bit weird, but I mean, again, I kind of just went along with the ride, to be honest with you. And yeah, this film is unique. I think this film you should probably watch it in both Japanese and English dubbing, although I do kind of prefer it in the English dubbed, just because when you watch it in dubbed, you just kind of turn your brain off and you don't have to pay attention to the subtitles. And I feel like the dubbing do a fantastic job. Like, some of the acting is really great and feels very realistic and grounded. It doesn't feel phoned in, doesn't feel like actors recording in a phone booth. It feels like real people living this experience. And yeah, Akira, I have to give it a, I'm definitely gonna give this film I'm gonna give this film an 8 out of 10. I'm gonna give it an A. It's a great film. I highly recommend it. Really just check it out right now. I didn't want to give it a 10 out of 10 because, again, some of like the nitpicks I had with it did lower my score for me. And yeah, you really just have to watch this film like more than once to fully appreciate this film. Like, the more times I watch it, the more I'm starting to like it, and my score will get higher and higher the more times I watch it. So don't let my final score be the end or be all score, my do's and dudettes. Like, I wouldn't say it's my favorite anime film of all time. I think I respect it a lot more than I, in a way, love it. I mean, I love it, but man, like, I think I appreciate it more than I enjoy it, in a way, if that makes sense. But yeah, this film is amazing. I highly recommend it. Go check it out. I recommend buying it on Blu-ray, watching it in like the best resolution possible, the best quality possible, on your best TV or wherever. Just watch it on like the best format you can possibly watch this film, because you're not going to regret it at all. Not at all. But thank you for watching this review. Please like and share this video, comment down below, subscribe to more anime and manga reviews in the future. I have a whole playlist of like other stuff I did in the past relating to anime and manga, movies and TV shows. But tell me in the comments, do you like this film? What was your favorite part of this film? And what does this film mean to you? Subscribe to my channel, like this video, share it on social media. And yeah, thank you for watching. As always, a boy did review signing out.